All right. I doubt anyone's watching, although someone posted Phil question mark in the chat earlier.
That's my alias.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's all about, but yeah. But anyhow, yeah, we're just testing around some different stuff here and figure some people who weren't doing anything might be interested to come check out and see what we're up to, playing around with some things. So Phil, I do have to ask, were you leaning more toward by the way, what's your beverage?
Well, the can that my beverage is in is Stubborn Soda's classic root beer.
That's what you showed before, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the Instagram ad. Mm-hmm. And lately I've been getting into strange little, I don't know what it would be. Maybe I need to talk to my counselor about this, but water is what's in here right now. Oh. I've been, I want to keep hydrated. And so
I drink water all the time. That's what I got.
I'm reusing the can.
Oh, well, that's interesting. How is Stubborn? I got to try it.
It's good. I liked it. I would buy it again, and I have bought it frequently. It's here, the way I get it is when I pick up to-go orders at a local chain called Zoop, who is right next to my LCS here in downtown Lansing.
So I don't know how much you know about root beer, but we can go on a little tangent here before we.
Please.
So there are three main concentrated flavors that are pretty much in all root beers, but some root beers will focus toward one or the other. It's vanilla, black licorice, and cinnamon. Those are in almost every root beer will have that in some component, at minimum two of them. Okay. But some are more toward that. Like, so your Jones soda that you were mentioning, their root beer, you had their root beer. That's a very cinnamon-based root beer. It's very spicy.
Okay.
So there's that. And then like a good example of a licorice one, I'm trying to think of one that you would know because that one's that one they don't put on the mainstream ones as much, like because vanilla is more for the general consumer. So there's a lot of the black licorice based ones are
because it's sweeter. Do you think?
Yeah. They're not big name brand ones. Although I think the closest one would probably be Dad's Root Beer that you might know.
Yep.
Yeah. So that one's pretty heavy on the black licorice. But other than that, most of the mainstream ones don't have that. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit there. And another tidbit is that I actually like root beers that go out of that quite a bit. Like Cicero Salted Caramel Root Beer is very good. There's Dang That's Good Root Beer, which is actually butterscotch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, then let me ask you a question. What makes a root beer a root beer?
That it is primarily centered around what is it? Sarsaparilla?
Oh, well, see, because now it's interesting because I was going to say is it sarsaparilla? Is that because I've also seen it or heard it mispronounced sarsaparilla?
It's actually sarsaparilla, but it's always been colloquially called sarsaparilla. But it's sarsaparilla.
Because I don't know when in my life I got a hold of some of that, but I really grew fond of that. And that is difficult to find.
I'm not that big on sarsaparilla on its own. But that's the primary, that's where you get your root beer from, that. And then there's also, vanilla bean in there. And I've made my own root beer before, and I did it twice. And the first time didn't have enough sugar, and the second time had too much.
Okay.
So I'd like to get back into that eventually. And I thought if I ever grew big, all right, let's just say my channel did get kind of big. Oh. How cool would it be, especially with this D&D thing going on? How cool would it be to have your own branded root beer that you could sell called Travel and Root Beer Homebrew?
Oh yeah, man.
Of D&D.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, not to, I guess what imitation is the best form of flattery? I'm trying to think, would there be some form of equivalent of what is the hot show where you're lining up the different spicy hot sauces and having the celebrity come in? Yeah. But you could do that somehow with root beer, and I don't know what your scale would be, but.
Yeah, well, there is a scale. There is
okay.
I mean, there's a whole world of root beer out there. That's for sure. And my least favorite root beer is probably Not Your Father's Root Beer, which is one of the alcoholic ones.
Oh,
I'm not big on alcohol anyway, and I'm definitely not big on that. That's me and my wife together couldn't finish one bottle of
it. Because of the taste or the strength or
the taste, not the strength, man. I can handle alcohol. I just don't drink very much. But the golly, I could not.
Well, I tried a grapefruit based I'll say beer. They would probably cringe, but it was a grapefruit-based alcoholic beverage.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a big grapefruit fan, but that was hard for me to take a liking to. And I bought
Eventually, I want to have my own Coca-Cola Freestyle machine because I would like to put what I like in there, and I probably would still put some of the things like Coke-Colas, like Virgil's root beer, probably Dang That's Good root beer. I'd put double cola in there. I'd put Orange Crush. See, those are the kind of drink. Those are what I consider craft sodas, and they're a little outside of the normal, even though Crush is quite mainstream. So
there's a Town Club. Is that a name you've encountered?
Town Club?
Town Club as a manufacturer. Maybe they're local up here I'm in the Michigan area. Town Club used to be a store where you would go in. All they sold was cases of soda. And they sold a wide variety of flavors. So when you walked in their store, you're looking at pallets of, I want to say 24 wooden pallets of 24 glass bottles of all these different colors all around the place.
Do you like cream soda?
Sure.
So I know quite a bit about cream soda too. Boot City coconut cream soda is amazing. If you ever see that, get it. It's almost completely clear. It's got a yellow tint to it, but it's Boot City, and that's a really good one. And another good one is actually, see, I don't like Barks root beer. That's probably my least favorite of the commercial ones.
Okay.
And by the way, that's very licorice based, actually, which I typically like. That's probably the most licorice based of the mainstream.
I go for it because of its name and the way it's spelled. Honestly, what do you think of Mug?
Mug is good. Mug is one of the best of the name brand. I like it better than A&W. But Barks, I'll tell you what's better. What Barks has better than their root beer is their red cream soda.
That's it. The different, I don't know what we would call that. The different flavored cream sodas rather than just cream soda.
Yes.
Those intrigue me.
Yeah, red cream soda, the coconut cream soda that I mentioned. I had a lime cream soda not too long ago. See, I get most of my craft drinks from Ace Hardware down the street because they like to keep it's the best selection in town. There used to be a candy store that sold it, and I went in there one day, and the shelf was empty, and they said, "We stopped carrying the craft sodas." I said, "You're out of your mind. It's an untapped market. The only other place in town is Cracker Barrel."
See, and that is a good resource, but if you've seen one, of them all, maybe. Because I was going to say it's really odd because I'm always on the lookout for those unique sodas. And hey, welcome, Lewis.
Hey, Lewis.
And it is so odd where you find them, where they pop up. Because for me, it's in a small little mom and pop lunch diner place right across from my LCS. But also do you have World Market where you're at?
Not a chain, if that's what you're talking about, but there is a place called World Market here.
Yeah, we have a World Market, and I think it's a chain. Ooh, my cat is coughing. That's a rare occasion.
That's what happened with him today, and I was wondering what was going on. Yeah, by the way, here, let me show you this real quick. I got him looking over there.
Aw.
Yeah, so World Market.
Well, anyway, so I just did a Google search just out of curiosity a couple episodes ago, just Sarsaparilla, Lansing area, and World Market was the only one that came up.
What's up, SCG? Thanks for dropping by.
Hey.
We're just testing some stuff out here for RPG, and we got kind of carried away on craft drinks, but that's fine because I haven't given that much attention lately, and I like talking to Phil about it.
And I don't know if it would be considered a craft drink, probably not, but I'm also really interested in the world of, I use this term loosely, gourmet hot chocolate.
Oh, I am all with you on that. That's for sure.
Then I'm going to show you my new favorite. And they are not a sponsor of Travel and Root Beer or of Comics Talk Weekly.
Oh, my father-in-law loves nuts.com.
It's premium. It's just called premium hot chocolate. But I just got some of this for a friend, and they agree. This tastes nutty, which is really strange in a hot chocolate. But it has become my new favorite, and it is just their regular premium hot chocolate, $5. it's a pound of sugar that you can just eat day after day, dissolved in water. Mm-mm.
Sean Miller dropped in too. What's happening?
Hey,
man?
John. Hey, Sean.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, to wrap up the craft soda thing, yeah, maybe we could, since you like that stuff too, maybe we could do like a book club style AOK to each other or something, because you might have access to some I don't have, and I certainly know that world. I could send you something.
Is it all of a sudden I'm thinking of exploding packages when they arrive because
no. So check this out. So my mom always tries to get inventive with buying me something for Christmas, right? And I don't see my mom very often, so she usually sends it in the mail. And last year, she couldn't beat. There's no way she'll ever beat last year, because she found a website that packages crates of craft sodas. I got 24 craft sodas, and out of those 24, only 6 of them that I'd ever had before.
Wow. See, I would be really okay. See, I could go down the rabbit hole with that. I would be spending way too much of my paychecks there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a website just for that, and you can get those. You can get smaller batches too. You can get a randomized set of 6, I think, and you can get a set of 12. But the 24 case was just a big O case. It was all well packaged, nothing broken, all very unique things in there, and it was mostly root beer, but there was a lot of cream sodas and stuff like that too.
And I like the coffee selections. I've seen like that as well. Small little.
You know what's funny though is Triple X root beer is actually made here in town, and they have a partnership with a restaurant here that's actually been on the Food Network. So it was kind of funny opening this crate of craft sodas, and there was a Triple X in there. It's like, man, I could just get that anywhere here, you know.
Or I could just sell them more out in the aftermarket from town.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get out of business. Me and Phil are gonna do some tests here for some D&D stuff. We want to make our D&D shows bigger and better. And I really appreciate having Phil part of this, not only as a player, but also as a friend and someone who wants to make this the best thing ever. And my question is, when you were texting me about this, were you thinking more of keeping track of players on a physical map that you can mess with on your overhead, or something digitally to keep track of players?
Well, either is a viable solution, and I would say that one would cover the other. If you decided on one way to go, you wouldn't need to consider the other.
Sure.
I have played in a Roll20 environment, and this was several years ago.
That's good. I've never used Roll20.
And so my memories will be, I'm sure, several years and versions old. But what I recall was that the DM had the ability to, in advance, upload maps to the system, and if I understood it correctly, it was almost like it's the background under a grid. Mm-hmm. And that each player, as they log in, because each player is logging in and has been invited to your specific instance or your campaign, as they log in, I don't know what it is. I think they probably get an icon. They can each have their name entered. But if I recall, it was almost like the first letter of our name is what represented us on the map. And that would be really cool, actually.
And how would you get it to move around? You just click it?
We just click where we can go. Now, I don't think it was keeping track of our movement. We could move a mile if we moved a mile, but there was nothing reining us in. That would be on you.
Yeah. Of course.
Honestly, I don't recall there ever being technical difficulties to the extent that it took the enjoyment out of playing.
How long has it been since you used it?
8 to 10 years, maybe.
So I didn't even know about Roll20 until like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's got to be improved by now. And that sounds like it's really good on its own.
And I also imagine too, it's probably, I think now too, they've monetized it more than it was. I know that none of us, maybe the DM at the time, but none of us as players were paying for it.
Well, it's already been kicked around by Caroline, actually, to eventually start a Patreon or something, which I would not expect anyone to. It's not like you have to put into this to play every week. That's not what I'm doing. But it would be more like, hey, if we can get a little something going here, I would put it toward the game to make it better, and if it meant some major improvements like that, then that would be awesome. But so, I mean, I'm not going to do that unless this ball really gets rolling, which it appears. Sure. I mean, my channel has been growing and people are flocking to it, and people seem to really like this. All the players like it, and I was told a long time ago, and I was reminded here recently that you're doing okay as a DM if people keep coming back to the table. And it seems everyone except for Harry Old Fat Guy has made a return.
He was allergic to Wookiee costumes.
Yeah. How about that picture Lewis made, though? Oh, my goodness.
That was nice. I would like to see that. I only saw it on my phone, but I'd like to see that, large scale.
Oh, I can send it to you.
That'd be a wallpaper.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and send it to you now. Would you like it in your email?
Sure. Yeah. See, that would be, there's incentive for the Patreon channel.
What make those things?
Yeah. You get a free downloadable wallpaper from the game.
Yeah. We just captured the core of what we were doing.
That was really clever. And he even gave me my prosthetic arm, and
I know he thought of all.
I was holding a microphone, I think, and clever ideas for all the characters. They were very befitting their.
Let's see here.
Their role
up here, and then I'll get this on the way too. But yeah, the Roll20 thing. While we're just jabbering here, do you mind pulling up Roll20 and maybe we can look at it on your end?
No, not at all. I'll do that right away. Let me
fill your host. That's right. I was Star-Lord. What? Sparks, what are you even doing here? What? Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, he's Star. Yeah, they pasted his face over Star-Lord. I see. Oh, okay. I was like, what do you mean? I was Star-Lord. I'm like, what? You reincarnated in the game? All right, Phil, I got that to you, so you can have that for your viewing pleasure.
Let me remove.
See, I made not a lot, but some very detailed maps for the first couple sessions.
Okay.
Since the little ones that I did for the record label seemed to go over pretty well, I made them in that style. But I'm going to go ahead and maximize you again. Sorry, chat, if I don't see you for a minute. So Roll20. I have a second computer. I can pull up Roll20 also, but I just wanted to see what it looked like from this thing you're doing.
And let me zoom even on my system to see if that helps. Yeah, it looks like it might. Okay. So, assuming you as the DM, I'm guessing most players, after they've created an account, would just click here in the future to join a game up here in the upper left.
And then they would just see where my game's available, and I could.
Yeah, if they were, I think at that point they see a list of the games that they are part of.
If we go this route, which I am leaning toward maybe doing, we would do a live tutorial video for everybody on a day that wasn't a game day to get people to be able to log in.
And I don't know exactly what their marketplace is, unless it's tools.
Yeah, it's probably, that's what I was thinking it was. I think it's going to be pre-generated map styles and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking for maybe any more user friendliness with specific AD&D stuff, but my guess is that TSR is it TSR or Wizards now? Okay, they have their own. I'm sure they may have their own online system like this, and if you're going to run a 5th edition campaign, maybe you would want to give that a shot. I don't know.
Lewis says he's reading bedtime stories to his kids, but listening in.
Oh, okay.
Star-Lord, much respect. So. Lewis kills me. He said he was reading The Cat in the Hat to his kids the first time he heard that video that we worked on, and with the guy talking about the more he played D&D, the more he was into Satanism.
So let's see. Can I click on choose a game? No. Sign up, choose a game, invite friends, play. It says under choose a game, build your own from scratch, buy a ready-to-play adventure in the Roll20 marketplace, or join someone's game. Here we go. Dungeons and Dragons is listed as, I don't know. Am I misreading a logo? Is this the logo we would be looking for in this instance?
Oh, let me maximize you again.
Actually, it's letting me click it. What happens if I click there? Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that is for the specific modules. You probably pay to bring up locales and things from the modules.
I see.
And it has the books digitally,
Okay.
which I'm not really interested in going that
Sure.
route. I have most of the books that I want. I will get them also, and I'm more into homebrew anyway.
Okay.
But that is an interesting feature. So
I am reminded too that this came with its own dice roller for each player. There was a button in the interface that you just and everyone saw everyone's roll.
It's fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at it. I think at minimum we'll try a session in Roll20.
Okay.
But physical maps. I got something I want to show you. Let me grab something real quick. You can entertain the audience for a few seconds.
All right. So back when Travel and Root Beer was in middle school, I got a chance to interview his teacher 20 years later, and guess what she told me? That's all I got. Sorry. Ba-dum-bum. The call out to everyone in the chat. Sean Miller, welcome aboard, sir. Lewis, Shadow Rabbit, or shall I say Shadow Rabid. Welcome aboard. Sparks, hey. It was great preparing my slides to your show yesterday. Thank you very much, sir, for your calming effect and for letting me know how late I'm running. And Travel and Root Beer, ladies and gentlemen.
So I'm just going to show this real quick. These are the flowers I got my wife for Valentine's Day. But the beads that are in these, these kind of beads? You know those?
No.
They're like little tiny beads that you can buy at the dollar store for like $1 for a bag of them. And they use them for things like this, or maybe like a setting like you build, you know what I mean? Like a bonsai garden kind of a thing.
Yes.
So these little beads here, I've actually used those in D&D campaigns before on like the grid that I have. And you just use a bead like these. So people who play Pokemon, these as damage counters because the different color beads correlates to damage.
And I think I used them for mana when I used to play MTG.
Oh, that makes sense.
I
you
think
know what I'm talking about. I don't want to fish them out, but
yes,
what they are. Let me go ahead and stick these back in there. So next time.
Okay. So back to the middle school stories of Travel and Root Beer.
That's an entertaining way of keeping it lively.
So get back here fast.
So anyway, what I was saying is if we were to do something physical, that is an option that's very cheap because $1 can get you a bag of them. Now, of course, you would want to buy a bag that has more than 5 colors because you want to color coordinate it.
Yep.
And I think the ones that I have seen at Dollar Tree are usually 3 colors, but there's 2 different kinds you can get. So it'd be like 6 or 8 colors. But that is so you could still coordinate it with goblins or monsters, whatever too. But it is a way to, like, if you have the map physically down, whether it's a grid you drew on or something you printed off, you can physically put the beads there. So that's not something I would ask you to do, but that's something that I might consider doing in the future to give it a try.
Well, look what I got.
You got dungeon tiles, That's awesome. See, I have the erasable one, and you've got that.
Well, and again, I just I got this more out of curiosity and perhaps potential future use, just out of my own.
Yeah,
because I like to daydream that I'll ever have time again for things like this.
Have you ever DM'd?
The last time I DM'd was when the original Strahd/Ravenloft module came out.
So I must have been, what year was that? That's before I was born, I think.
84, 86.
I was born in 88. So
okay. Never mind. This is an afternoon show. Well, okay. And then just out of curiosity, I had brought these as markers just because who needs to stay within a genre? Fallout bottle caps. Are you familiar with this?
Cool. So interesting fact. You'll like this. My friend that's really, 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 really into Fallout, I save all the bottle caps I get for my craft drinks and take them to him once a year.
Oh.
Every year at Christmas, which minus this year because we didn't go to our home city for Christmas, I always bring him a sack of the bottle caps for my craft drinks throughout the year. I've done that last 4 or 5 years.
That's great. So, even using your scenario, and I was thinking in preparation for this, if we didn't go with Roll20.net, then turning these just upside down and writing 1, 2, 3, 4, or a letter, their first initial A, B, whatever, would be enough to like give people spatial awareness. You're pointing that way, or but that was kind of what made me think of my Roll20 experience, was that everything we were doing here, it was just as easy, if not easier, to do at Roll20. So
yeah, I think Roll20 will be a better option if it moves in the way that I think it's going to.
Mm-hmm.
I would be willing to test it first, but
sure,
I'm sure there's some kind of free trial for some of their other features too. But that is great there too. And I'm all for experimentation, and I wouldn't mind even trying it that way. Also, both on your end and on my end. But that's a cool grid, actually. See, now that's not a grid that you can sit there and draw. That's more for the combat.
It looks like it's probably dry erase.
Oh, okay. Then it is. Okay, it's like mine. Mine's fold out, though. Not fold out. Yours is fold out. Mine's roll up.
Roll. Okay. Yeah, you were showing that on a previous show, right?
Yeah, I've got it right over there. It's been well used. I am going to be using a spoiler, and if I end up showing this today, anybody who's watching it's going to get something spoiled for the session 0 or first session we do. But I created for my campaign, I did a much better detailed version of a specific location that I've actually used in a previous campaign. But every time I used it, I hand drew it on my grid over there. And it's been over a year since I've used it. So I called it all up in memory and made a more permanent version.
Did you do like Fog of War? You only drew it as they went?
So no, but that's interesting you said that, because the way that my groups have always done Fog of War, whether it's me playing or me DMing, is I will pre-draw something and put just regular white printer paper around things that the group can't see.
Okay, yeah.
And we had a very good campaign with that one time, or not campaign session with that one time.
When I ran Ravenloft, it was the first thing I had ever run. I had gone through many different games, many different campaigns with some great DMs.
I'm listening. I'm grabbing books.
But this was the first time I ever ran anything myself, which was why I was going to a module, because they pretty much, if you want them to, they spell it out for you. Here's how you run this. But
the only things I've ever ran from a book. So here's the only things I've ever ran. All right. This is the Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is the starter kit's setting. I have played this, but I have not ran it myself. I have ran portions of it in another campaign. I have taken stuff out of this and homebrewed it into something else.
Okay.
Then I have Tales from the Yawning Portal, which I love. This is one of my favorite D&D books.
And I would consider it simply because it's in hardcover. Are they all in hardcover, the modules now?
All of them except for the starter kit.
Damn. Here, let's find ways for Phil to pull his wallet out.
So what's great about the Yawning Portal is I have played a lot of, I've used roughly half of what's in this book. Okay. So it is actually a collection of 7 different modules from the years of D&D. And it's got everything going back from the original game that Gary Gygax did all the way up to there's one from 4th edition.
Can you make them connect and build level all the way up?
And I've done that. I have used the first place from here, gone to a location in another book that I'm about to show you, and then had them come back to the third location in here.
Okay.
And I connected that way.
You bring up something that I really like that I don't think a lot of people maybe think about. Is that when you're a game master, right, or a dungeon master, you can do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
And so you're pulling specific instances from one module and putting it over here, or
I've pulled just NPCs. I've pulled stuff like that, plot points, magic items. Okay, so the other book that I have, and I actually got this on pre-order when it was released for a very good deal. This is Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And this is also 7 campaigns from the entire D&D history, but they all revolve around water.
Are those currently in print? Do you know?
This is brand new, sir. This hasn't even existed 2 years yet.
Are those $50?
You can get this thing for 30.
Okay.
And I actually got it for 25 by pre-ordering it.
Is it the DM that's 50? DMG that's 50? Or is that 75 even?
Yeah, most of them are 50, but
Okay.
Amazon has great sales.
Yeah.
So what I did in one campaign actually was, oh, by the way, these are specifically meant to mesh with each other and interchange, actually. So these are actually designed where the 7 that are in here, the first campaign is a 1 through 5 campaign. Or sorry, no, it's a 1 through 3 campaign. The second campaign is a 3 through 6 campaign levels. The third is, I think, 6 through 9. And then they start overlapping more. And like once you get to the end, you start getting ones that go like you can start much earlier, but it goes all the way to 20. So this is also staggered the same way. So if you do it a certain way, you can run somebody starting in this, have them get to level 3. When they complete the task there, come over to the second module here or homebrew something in between.
Yeah.
So I've used 2 settings from this book and like I think 3 settings from this book.
I was looking, actually right before I started my own channel, I was looking for we ran a superhero campaign and it took place at our own town. This is back right out of high school, maybe even in high school. And it was really fun just being local. We knew all the locations. We didn't have to imagine that. And it was kind of just a change of pace from the sword and sorcery stuff. I don't even remember now what the plot was, but we were superheroes in our own town. I think, was it Heroes? I want to say Heroes Illustrated. I can't. I'm getting that wrong. There was
Illustrated.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a couple role play RPGs back in the day that were superhero centric. Anyway, but I really liked that, and that's not around anymore. So I did it. I had done a search for generic role playing systems, and I came up with 2. Which I have here. The first one is probably the more well-known, GURPS. And I forget what GURPS stands for. Maybe even
I've never seen that.
This is by Steve Jackson Games, and this is designed to be as generic and open as possible. So you can do sword and sorcery, you can do science fiction, you can do horror, you can do whatever you want. This gives you a system that is cohesive enough but open enough that you can get. You got free reign here. Now, this is what you would buy if you were just a character in someone else's game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But for DMs who want to, run their own, this gives advice on how a GM would run. Again, whatever setting, whatever type of world they want. It's pretty loose. And then because I don't remember how I latched onto this one, but this is post-apocalyptic centric. This is called Apocalypse World. And this is, to my knowledge,
I have heard of that.
You can get this digitally. I think I went ahead and I prefer to have the hard copy, but this just has this is it has a battle system. But really what I really liked from here was there tons of character templates. And again, all of this stuff that you could pull into any system, as a game master and kind of do whatever you want with your group of friends, as long as it's, I guess, consistency would be the only thing I would ask of you as a game master, right?
So I do want to show you this here. Mm-hmm. I've never used this, but I would love to do it. I really hope your group will do this one day. This is called the Doom Vault. It's the most complex dungeon ever created.
Well, let's do it. There's the gauntlet.
Look at that. Isn't that wild?
It reminds, see, and that's why that was what drew me to Ravenloft, was the complexity of the map of the castle. It was just such a cool map to look at as a DM. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking Fogs of War. I made them map their own map. You go 2 squares forward. You know, there's an opening to your left and to your right. Where you go. And they did that. And that they said later that added to the creepiness because they did not know what's coming.
That's kind of in the vein of what I said about not wanting to detract from Theater of the Mind too much.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I am into this idea of having a grid for combat scenarios to keep just for combat. I don't want where you're walking around the town and you just move a piece across the board to go to the town.
No, there's no need for that.
I don't. But here's the thing: I have been around people, not too many, but I have been around people that take that aspect of the game so serious that it is impossible to play with them.
See, I just want to see a picture of the town. I want to see the picture of the street I'm on. You know, make something up. That's all I need.
No problem. I'm probably going to actually make something for the main locale that you're going to be going to. But my wife's going to be home fairly soon. I don't have to jump off the moment she gets here. But the only thing I wanted to see was do you know, with Roll20, if we were to do that, how are we going to get that over to my YouTube channel?
Right now in StreamYard, you have the option to, here's what at the bottom, you're the host, so you might have slightly different controls. There's share.
Yes.
And one of those is share screen.
Yes.
So for me, do you have more than one monitor or just one?
Just one, but I got two computers. So.
Well, that wouldn't work then. Okay.
Yeah,
see,
actually,
for me,
it actually would, because whenever I sent the link a few weeks ago to somebody, I don't remember who, I did it on a second computer. And when I logged in, as long as the mic was muted, I could operate StreamYard on both computers.
Okay. Because what I do, so that's a nice workaround too, in case this wouldn't work. It's share screen and it says, what screen do you want to share? And I just say monitor 2. And I just make sure whatever's on monitor 2 is full screen. What
I'm having in mind is I'm having in mind sharing the Roll20 tab.
Yes, exactly.
And then running StreamYard on the second laptop.
We could set up a session just like this one if we wanted to experiment. In fact, I would be happy to, sign up for a free account. We should be able to
go ahead and sign up. I'll sign up as well, and then you and I can play with it sometime. We can keep talking here for a little bit. I'm not in any rush.
Okay.
But you just got me thinking all this. These are so cool. If you just want to have them, I don't have every D&D book. I have those two modules and then the starter module. So technically, I have 15 because there's 14 between these two, and then that one equals 15. So
I enjoy them for many reasons, actually. But first of all, from a DM's perspective, here is how you can weave this tale. It's almost like you're a cook in the kitchen, and here are all your ingredients. You can twist them and turn them the way you want. You can leave some out. You can add others.
Hi, Caroline.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way on that. See, I also have the Monster Manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Player's Handbook, and I have pulled stuff from every one of them. But I have also operated, I would say, 90% of sessions without having a book in front of me, except for the Monster Manual. That one is pretty much always in front of me.
Yeah. Just because you need the stats, but it's like they're idea generators. It's like I may never have any plan on running anybody through this module, but
So Wizards of the Coast has made good money from me. Like they've sold me half of their module or half of their hardback books, and I will probably buy at least 2 more. I want to get at least Volo's Guide to whatever it is. I forget what it's called. Volo's Guide to, I can't remember. And then there's Xanthar's Guide to Everything. Those are 2.
Do you own a DM screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it over there.
Do you
I have the Wizards of the Coast one, actually.
Well, it's okay. I bought one, and I ended up thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to use half of these. So I found myself making my own screens back in the day.
I use it in person, but I have no reason to use it in this. I mean, I can look at this. There's their DM screen right there. You know what I mean? What am I doing?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be great. If you've been wanting a really robust experience, I'll give you a little sneak preview to what I'm going to go over in session 0. Is we're going to talk about how this is a living, breathing world. Okay, it's not just what's in front of you is what's there. There is an ecosystem going on. There's something going on. Just because you're not there to witness something happen doesn't mean an event isn't actually occurring. However, if you just happen to be at a place when something happens, then you're a part of that right then and there. But my mind is all over the place, whether you guys are there or not.
You had also made me wonder, is it possible, it sounded like there's a possibility we might also be splitting into two parties at a time or two, or would exist in, maybe it was something Nola said.
Did you mean with us talking about going to a second session?
Yeah, I guess so. Yes.
So we're gonna still have the 10 p.m. Fridays, but we're also gonna have the Tuesdays at 6:30 to accommodate you and Caroline. And you can come to both, or you can come to one, and it won't make a difference for your character. Events will still unfold whether you're there or not. And if, let's just say, for example, that we thought you were going to come to both. Let's say we thought you were going to come to both Tuesday and Friday, but for whatever reason, there's a Tuesday shows up and you can't do it, but we had intended on your character being a part of that. Like, for example, let's say Friday, you went into a mountain with the whole group and we left off there, and Tuesday comes and you're not with the mountain. I can get with you separately and we can work out how we're going to do your character at that time. And I'll make it different every time. Whether it's, I don't want to give away too much because it's kind of central to the story, but let's just say that that's not likely going to happen. Haha, kitty. It's not likely going to happen, but if it does, then I can make it work. Like I have dealt with worse. But in this particular situation, it just works out well where when Sith said he just wanted to guest play and he didn't want to be part of the main thing, I said, that's fine. I want other people to guest play too. So I started thinking, I'm like, wait a second, why are we doing so much at 10 o'clock on Friday night? If Sith isn't going to be there, that just means that Lewis, who's listening right now, is the only one who it's like, that's his time. And I'm like, well, that let's just open up another time for those people. And then some other people can come guest play at those times, since Sith and Lewis aren't going to be a part of it. You know what I mean? And we can have some crisscross there. And me and Nola have actually tossed around the idea of, for those who want to, if you're planning on coming every Tuesday and every Friday, so your one character is going to get a lot of time in. If you're comfortable with it, you are more than welcome to write up another character and only play that character on certain days or rotate it out.
Is it possible that character would level up more than the others? Would that cause an imbalance?
What do you mean?
Just out of, my character is the only one that shows up twice a week, every week. Everybody else shows up once a week.
Well, it's going to. I think you're saying it's going to. You're not going to suffer for other people not being able to come. Like it's not going to be like that. Like you get. I'm a DM that. Hey, what's up? Hey, I tried to find your phone earlier and I could not find it.
I think it's in the bedroom.
Okay, yeah. I'm not a DM that assigns the party experience. I assign individuals an experience.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you play like all the time. If you're doing 10, 20 hours, well, we're not doing that much, but if you do 10, 20 hours a week on it, you're going to have 10 or 20 hours worth of D&D experience. Like you're not going to be leveled off and tapered to the guest player that shows up twice a month. Like I'm not going to do that. Like, and you'll see how it works, but hey, I sent you some messages earlier thinking you weren't there for that. Like, but yeah, I got everything on your list. Sorry, my wife just got home.
Wesley's here. We need to go.
Wesley's here. Didn't realize you were lying. Didn't realize. Oh, you don't have to be here, man. This is just me and Phil testing some stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't a required thing you're not missing D&D. Dungeons and Dragons and dinner on Tuesdays.
D&D.
Ah.
We're just appreciating non-taxable items brought forth from the previous tax year is all, Wesley.
So you will see, like when we're playing, like let's just say you're doing something extraordinary that doesn't really have to do with what the party that's traveling with you is doing. I might say, Phil, that was very observant. I award you 50 experience for pulling that off. Nobody else in the group gets that experience.
Would they have to do a jealousy check?
Well, it's the less you participate, then the less you're going to see. I reward in game for doing good in game. Like, I don't. It's in Dragons and DC on Tuesdays. That's funny. Yeah. So, but what I was saying about making a second player, like if you are a second character, me and Nola had talked about this because it's kind of tough because I really don't want to give away the premise of this until we get to session 0, or at least session 0, if not the first session. But there is something about this setting where it's very fluid and it not coming to every session isn't a problem. It's very designed for your Sean Millers who we want to have guest play sometimes, or your Sith Lordleys that we want to have guest play, or your Allstrands who've never played Dungeons and Dragons before, and we bring him in so he can try it out. It's very friendly campaign that I designed this campaign with the idea of totally new players in mind and players that may not come back for several weeks. So you'll see whenever it gets rolled out what I'm talking about, but I would not worry at all about I need to focus specifically on this character to keep his stats up. No, that character can float in the ether sometimes.
So I know Caroline expressed an interest to play a multi-class character down the road. Would she? I guess she could decide this. Might Caroline have more fun playing one class on one night and the other class on the second night? I understand the appeal of the multi-class, certainly.
Yes, and I don't know if you know my rule about multi-classing, but
you gotta wait.
Yeah, I pretty much follow the book on that. Like you got to get to level 5 before you do level 1 of something new, and I don't allow 3 classes. Now, if you've played with me for 2 years and we're somehow still doing this campaign, I might let you do a 3rd class then. But I'm not going to let you do it 3 months in because would that make any sense at all? Would that make any sense for an elven rogue to one day go, I'm going to pick up some sorcery abilities? Yeah, that would make sense. But would that same level 6 rogue that's also a 3rd level sorcerer say, you know what? I'm going to start doing some barbarian shit.
Yeah. No offense to the academic world, but that's like a professional student.
Yeah. You're talking about going 90% of the way without actually getting your degree?
Well, or just going after degree after degree after degree after degree after degree, and you're never actually. I've known people who do that too. They're always at school.
Yeah, Caroline, that's fine. Don't worry, that's fine. And let's just put it this way: spoilers or no spoilers. I have taken it very well into consideration with giving your character an opportunity to play around with sorcery. You're not going to see that in the first 2 sessions, or even the first 3 maybe. But I've talked about this with Sith a lot. I am a DM that really likes to cater to. Yeah, he does. That's funny. I'm a DM that really likes to cater to the individual. Okay. If we're playing with 6 people, then this game is literally only 40% me running it. It's 10% everybody else contributing, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, I very much cater to what I mean by, 10%, like 10%, like your component of that story moving around. Like I don't just control 99% of the game and you guys are just rolling dice. Like that's not how I do things. So
I want to start working on time travel.
I have a time travel component in the game.
I'm just
not in this one, but
darn. I want to start finding the thing you don't have a component for.
So that's interesting you say that because I've never used the time travel component before, and I don't know if I necessarily will use it in this one, but I do have a module in mind of how to do time travel. So think of the way Back to the Future worked. If you like those movies.
Yeah, boy, I'm glad you would be DMing that. I would not take that on.
What? Back to the Future?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking of all the paradoxes you would have to consider and all the things that the players could potentially throw at you and alter.
I can take it. I can see it. But yeah, what I mean by that is, I would run it in the same way where the physics of it work, where you go back and you're basically avoiding your past self to prevent a calamity.
Mm-hmm. I think the urchins have a new mission.
Yeah.
Sparks has given us inspiration. But he's also an elf. It's so that should be the name of our next rock. Maybe we're a touring band of Sparks and the Urchins.
So we have 3 elves. We have, I think Nola's going to do 2 characters now. I think he's going to do a Furbolg and he's going to do a dwarf. And then Lewis had talked about I'm pretty sure Lewis is doing a dwarf, and then Sith is doing a drow. But we'll talk about this in session 0. I'm going to talk about the population makeup of this world and you might be surprised by that. Actually, I was really surprised when I asked everyone if they knew what a session zero was, and you were the only one that even had a vague clue what I was talking about. Because DMs should be doing session zeros with every new group they play with.
Well, I don't think I've ever really had one that the person knew that's what they were doing on purpose. So I'm really going to be interested to see what this is, because I'm guessing this will be the first time I've seen it done right. So
there should be some kind of session zero that isn't just people rolling up their characters. That's actually why I wanted people to roll up their characters first. So that's out of the equation, and we're just maybe kind of polishing up things for people, but not starting from scratch and rolling for 2 hours. Yeah, a session zero should basically set the expectations for the characters, or for the players, like what they're getting into. So they don't have like something in their mind that it's going to be that it's not, both good and bad. Like that's not a negative. You know what I mean? Like I don't want you to go in thinking that it's really, really going to be this when it's actually going to be more like this. But also I don't want you to go in and be totally just, you know what I mean? Totally lost. The other thing is the expectations on me. Like I'm going to set the expectations of what I expect out of players, how they conduct the game. I'm not going to have a bunch of murder hobo stuff. Like it just ain't going to happen. Like
murder hobo stuff.
You know what murder hoboing is, right?
No.
Okay. So it's a meme about D&D where basically, so imagine this, right? You live in the D&D universe and you run around town to town, stealing and killing everything in sight. You have no home, you have no life, no family, no backstory, nothing like that. You're just a murdering hobo.
All right. So it's like a D&D version of a mining.
Yeah.
Like a World of Warcraft thing.
Yeah, it's not. So that's going to be established very early on in session zero, right then and there, that you're not going to do that. Like the answer to everything in this game is not killing something. Like that's not to say there won't be heavy combat at some time. Can I play a murder hobo?
He's reformed.
That's right.
He runs around giving things back.
Yeah, so that's a key thing there. Is that I'm not going to let you're going to live in. That's what I said. It's a living, breathing world. You're living in a world that actually exists. You actually have a place to live, and goals in mind, and friends and family and stuff. Like you don't just go, okay, I'm in the new town. Let me kill the barkeep. Like you're going to be punished in game for that. Like
yeah.
Your character will be drug off to jail.
That's kind of an interesting total change of subject, but I don't remember what it's called. It's like a defeat against cheaters who pirate games. Is that if the game detects that this is an unofficial licensed copy running, it sends an unbeatable boss after you.
Oh, wow.
That is unrelenting.
Man.
And you will never have the enjoyment of playing a game because a boss will be constantly on your because you pirated that game.
Well, the other thing is leveling too. Like I'm setting realistic expectation for leveling because a lot of people who just jump into D&D, they're not. I think you might have been in this conversation we had before. So sorry if you've heard this, but a level 1 player is a level 1 player. Like you don't have a extensive 20-year history of adventuring. Like you just don't. The average NPC that you meet is going to be a level 0, so you have that over them. So in Jeremy's case, he is a trained wizard. A level 1 is a trained wizard who graduated wizarding school but has no real world experience, right? It puts them over a normal person. Or like your character is a rogue, right? You have been living out and about and done things. You might have stole some stuff. Heck, you might have stabbed somebody in an alley once. But you haven't been out there for 5 years. You're an underground crime boss that rivals the Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like that. Or
well, you can try.
Yeah. So you see what I mean? Like that. So that's what that's the expectation that I'm going to set in session 0 right there, is that, hey, that way you're not surprised when you find out, hey, you can't. I'm a DM that doesn't like to say no very often, but there are specific things that have to be said no to, and that is one of them. Like it won't make any sense. Like what sense will it make when you meet a level 5 character if you suddenly have more experience and all this stuff than they do? You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why the levels exist 1 through 20.
Plus, I think you spoke to this too. Once you do it the the right way. You appreciate your character, you appreciate the history you've built, you appreciate the items you've got, you remember specific battles when you got things on your character sheet happened, right? So, and you don't get that when they're just handed at you. So
yeah, exactly. And you can always play in a game where you roll up higher level characters.
Yeah,
that's just not what this one is. This one is a level 1 through 20 or however far you end up going. It is a start from level 1, and we're going to play it as a level 1 because, you got to learn and stuff. You're not going out there Conan the Barbarian with your sword at level 1. Like, it just doesn't work that way,
Roll to see if it fell on your foot. Well, I'm glad we experimented with this. I think I'm going to just to see for myself, at least get a free Roll20 membership just to see what happens next. Yeah, cool. We'll wind it down here and jump off, and let's just acknowledge the chat here a little bit because they've been going. Sean and Wesley and Caroline and Sparks, you guys are all big. I don't know if SCG's still around, but he came out. That was cool of him to hang out. I know Lewis has been listening in. Somebody named P2 has messaged a couple times. That's me. That's me.
Is it really you? I thought you were joking about that.
No, that's my other alias.
I thought you were kidding when you said that. Like,
no,
it's funny. Yeah.
This is what Lady Sith Lordly said.
What Lady Sith Lordly says.
That's what Lady Sith Lordly says.
With their other alias.
Yeah.
Dream of August Comics is doing their 100 sub giveaway in 30 minutes. I will not be available for that, unfortunately. I might drop in and say hi in the chat, but I'm going to be a little bit wrapped up because me and my wife got us some chili to eat that I made earlier.
Yes, that sounds like you're making me hungry. I know what I'm doing next too. Cool.
All right, so we'll say bye to everyone. Thank you for checking out us experiment. I'm glad we did it a little bit, and we can mess with Roll20 later.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Look forward to what's to come.
Cool. Later.